Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Vivid Earth. How's everyone doing? Is everyone in a celebratory mood? Well, I know I am. The world has shifted. The ages have shifted. We have entered a new age, a new phase. And it feels good. I'm not going to lie. It feels good. Doesn't mean all the chaos has not even started. But we know that we are heading for a bright future. And that's what we keep having in our mind's eye. So, there's no doom or gloom, there's no fear porn. None of these things are going to fly anymore. And we on a positive trajectory, not just the US, but the entire world is going to follow. And Mr. T means business when he signs 200 executive orders in his first day. I mean, this is a man that's what, 78, something like that, maybe 79 already. And there's no stopping him. He literally does not skip a beat. And as I said before, we're entering some powerful planetary alignments and a very powerful astrological time. So things are going to get very, very spicy. So I hope you have your seatbelts buckled up and strapped on because this ride is not for sissies. It's going to get very interesting. And but for those of us that are awake and have done the research, gone down the rabbit holes, for us it will have a celebratory feel to it. We will smoothly sail through this time without any hiccups. But that also means we have to be there for those that will not go through this time as smoothly and may need a lot of guidance and direction because things are about to get very weird. Um, there are some weird and wonderful disclosures that will be coming through, I believe, and it will leave some people shocked and perplexed. And for us, it will be like, yes, yes, yes. Finally, we will not be seen as the crazy person in the room or the black sheep of the family, but we will feel like perhaps we knew something that nobody else did in our family, and that we actually have not only psychic abilities, but critical thinking abilities that many people lack, unfortunately, at this time on Earth. And it's only because of the brainwashing. But, then again, we've all been subjected to that, haven't we? But some of us have just refused to conform. Some of us have been rebels since the start, since we were born. We always had that rebel gene. And I think it was for a reason. I mean, I think all of the whether you want to call it star seeds, envoys, or special envoys, or second waivers, third waivers, whatever you want to call it. We came here for a reason with a mission. Now we had to go through this human experience just like everyone else, and we had to lose our memories just like everyone else. But we had these very firm nudges in place that we would not allow ourselves to get sucked in beyond a certain point into this human experience, whether that meant indoctrination or brainwashing or whatever it meant. We were going to have those nudges to say, not me. I do not consent and I do not conform. And we were the ones asking all of the uncomfortable questions that our teachers didn't want to answer or couldn't answer for that matter. Our parents couldn't answer. And we were just those naughty kids that were just asking way too many questions. And, we were sometimes labeled as problem children or whatever. And I kind of was quite low key. I tried to fit in as much as possible, but that rebel gene came out very significantly from time to time. Just enough not to get me into serious trouble, shall we say. And of course, I did well at school. I went to university. I got a good job. I was successful in my career. I achieved ultimate success as an entrepreneur in my businesses, but always that rebel gene came out. Like I wouldn't conform to certain things. I wouldn't accept certain things. I would keep asking questions, and I'm sure all of you as well. So I think the time has come for us to be finally acknowledged for the fact that we are not just difficult people that believe in weird and strange things, but that we actually had some precognition of what was really going on Earth. And for a reason, because we were part of that envoy sent to Earth to be this wave of guides for the rest of humanity when they're going to start waking up. So disclosure is going to come thick and fast this year, especially now the gates have been opened, 200 executive orders have been signed. We already see some of that disclosure being announced and in play. Just the JFK files alone, releasing that. And that just leads to other rabbit holes. And so this woolen jersey will just come apart once we keep pulling at that string for the whole world to see, not just for us, but the whole world to see. So it's going to get interesting. And the normies are going to hardly be able to keep up because it's going to get so weird for them. But we've been through the weirdness, right? We've had the awakening. We know what's going on in the world on all levels. So now's your chance to step forward as a way shower and help those that follow behind you, and make sure you get some rest, make sure you work on yourself, make sure you eat healthily so that you're in the best possible position to be that, way shower for others. So, we're also heading for the January the 25th with this rare planetary alignment where all 7 planets of our solar system, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune will be visible in the night sky. We're closely aligned from Earth's perspective, making this day potentially significant for sky watchers. Now think about it. Why do we say the stars are aligned? Well, planets are stars, right? It normally signifies that circumstances and planetary alignments is perfect for something that's going to happen or follow. That's where that comes from. The stars are aligned. Because when the stars are aligned in a certain way, it allows for things to happen in a certain way. And this is a big event. I mean, this is a very big event to see all 7 planets in the night sky aligning perfectly. So for me, that just symbolically says the stars are aligned for big disclosure and for big things to happen. And let the show begin, because I believe it hasn't yet even begun. Although we've been watching this movie for literally 5 years or more for some. But the show, really, central casting and everything around what's happening in the US and in other parts of the world have been going on for a very long time. And there's many actors out there. There's many mask wearers out there. There still is. And yeah, the shit is about to hit the fan. So I think everyone feels like that was too easy. The inauguration happened. There were some rumors that there were going to be some attempts on Mr. T's life, that things are not going to go down well, or something is going to happen. And we all feel like, damn, that was easy. There must be something wrong, or we're waiting for that other shoe to drop again. And that way may well be the case, guys. But I think the events that we have seen played out has ensured that we kind of stay on a positive timeline and that we don't shoot negative emotions into the ionosphere. That's important as well, because collectively we create this reality. So if there's going to be a lot of negative emotions and fear and sadness and anxiety going on, well, we're not going to create a good result. So it's important that we, that they've aligned things in such a way that there's enough positive emotions and intentions out there. And being in a celebratory mood is part of that. Why not dance a little, put some music on, enjoy the moment. Yes, we are still in a war. We're in the middle of this war, but it doesn't mean that we can stop every now and again to smell the roses or to give a little wiggle of the hips and, celebrate life as it is. So, yeah, it's going to get interesting. So just on the planets, the planetary alignments enhance the flow of cosmic energy, making a good time for spiritual practices and rituals. So keep that in mind as we enter that window of the 25th of January. In ancient cultures, planetary alignments were often associated with prophecies, omens, or significant earthly events. I'm just going to leave that there. Are we heading for a significant earthly event or for a prophecy to play out? I think it's very likely, guys. Now, for those that watched the inauguration with great excitement and interest, some are disappointed, some are like, yes, yes, yes. We saw some weird comms and anomalies happen. So we will just touch on that for those that maybe didn't watch the live show. And I'm just going to talk over them quickly. Now, firstly, let's talk about Melania's outfit. Everyone's wondering because Melania has been giving comms so many times around things that need to be communicated, especially to this truth-seeking community. They are all constant comms. It's like when you're in a war, you have to read all the comms. You've got to read all the symbols, the Morse code, so to speak, because that's, in a war, you can't communicate certain things openly. So Melania's outfits over the years have been acted as a subtle comm for us to take note of certain things. And her outfit was curious, not what we kind of would have expected. Certainly, it was a very serious outfit, that's for sure. It kind of screamed, "I mean business. I don't take any prisoners." The hat was curious because we never saw any of her eyes, and perhaps that's because those were actors and not the real Mr. T and Melania. Perhaps they wouldn't risk that. And certainly everyone in the audience looked rather nervous most of the time. So perhaps there was a real significant risk to the people in that arena. And we know that already it's moved from the outside to inside because of weather. But for those of us in the know, we know it was more sort of threats that were kind of a concern, and they had to kind of move things indoors where they could better control it. And I just believe the White Hats are always a few steps ahead. Maybe there is a slight unknown in every case, but of course it was a big moment, so it had to go down smoothly without a hitch. I mean, Barron was quite nervous throughout the inauguration. He kept looking into the crowd, he kept looking up, and he seemed very nervous. A few other people seemed very nervous as well, or slightly depressed even. Which was curious. So Melania's outfit, yes. So there was a lot of decodes on what her outfit really means. I'm just going to go over a few of them. I mean, firstly, she wore something very similar to what Princess Diana wore many years ago, with a dark navy outfit, the hat, the white stripes. Not exactly, but it does definitely, and it's not the first time that she's wearing outfits that reminds of us of Princess Diana. Let's not forget that some people actually think she is Princess Diana in disguise. This is one of the theories out there. There are other theories that she's a Pleiadian. Others say she's a Venusian. Many people reckon she is playing a much more important role than most people realize, because she is very close to the galactics, and she is actually in charge of many things without necessarily displaying that in the public eye. Whatever your take on this is, there are some clear indications that this outfit reminds us of some very interesting comms. Now, some people say she looks like V for Vendetta. If you look at the outfit and if you look at that movie, the hat, the outfit, it really is reminiscent of V for Vendetta, although she wasn't wearing black and white, it was navy and white, very dark navy and white. Other people say it reminds them of Space Force, the V in Space Force. This collar that she was wearing is very curious with the white. It wasn't just a regular collar, it was really a very deep V that came down. If you look at the Space Force logo, the background is very dark navy, and then it's got this white V coming down. So those are certainly very interesting things that we should consider. And I think, we all can't wait for the truth to come out and for us to be told exactly what the significance is of Melania in the mix, and what her role is. I think many of us can't wait for that disclosure. That might take a while, though, to hit the public eye, but maybe we will get more information in this community. The second big anomaly in this inauguration that I'm sure you all did not miss, although I haven't seen any people in the mainstream media picking that up, but President T did not have his hand on the Bible when he was reciting his oath. And that's curious because he actually drew attention to this a few weeks, I think it was a few weeks ago. He announced that he was going to use his mother's Bible for the swearing in ceremony. Why would he highlight that so specifically weeks prior? And then on the day, Melania is holding both Bibles, both his mother's Bible and I believe the Bible used by one of the ancient other presidents, but I forgot which one. And she was holding it, and it was so clear for the world to see that his hand was not on there. So that was a very, very clear com for us. And again, it can mean a few things. Firstly, it could mean that he's already sworn in. Secondly, it could mean that he is actually already the president or about to be sworn in as the original republic and not the corporation that we know is defunct and bankrupt. So this was all just for show. We know this inauguration was a big show, and for the normies, we know that there's something that will follow that will change the script and reveal to the people the meaning of all of this. But one thing is for sure, we know that we're basically at the end of this illusion of the corporation masquerading as a government. We also know that we're nearing the illusion of corruption. It just dawned on me like this morning, is this what the 17th letter meant when it said, watch the water? Because when the water changes, everything changes. Now, for everything to change, you've got to get rid of maritime law, because that is the fake legal layer that has been put on top of common law, natural law, which is the law of the land, which is what was in place always and what is even the foundation of the law and legal system today. But somehow, the Crown has usurped that and added their layer of maritime law. And this started centuries ago, actually, when a lot of people were seafaring, they were, discovering new lands, and often they were away for months at sea, sometimes even for years. So they brought this legal kind of system into, and to say, firstly, the trust, the birth certificate trust that was registered in everyone's name. So it meant that if you were lost at sea for more than 7 years, the government would take your birth certificate trust and be able to cash that in, and maybe pay out the widow some measly amount, but they would cash in on all that money. And the thing is, then they kind of decided to roll that out globally and use maritime law as a legal system around the world. So in the US, for example, you talk about bar attorneys. They all swear an oath to the Crown, the British. I forgot what it stands for right now, but the BAR stands for British. I forgot. But so they basically swear an oath to the Crown, and they're loyal to the Crown, not to the people of the US, and certainly not, they don't act in the interests of the people. The courts also belong to the Crown. And why is everyone wearing black gowns and funny hats? Because you are, when you're in court, you're on a stage, or you're playing a game of tennis in a court, right? And then there's the bench. All of these terminologies bring you back to their fake and fraudulent legal system, which I'm not going to unpack today because I have done some recordings around that, and perhaps I'll do that again, depending on, how, if it's going to become relevant to bring that up again. But I just felt like perhaps watching the water meant that, once this maritime system flips and we go back to common law, all these fraudulent, not only legal systems, but also laws that was in the fraudulent US corporation masquerading as a government will disintegrate. So the whole house of cards of the cabal will disintegrate. We know that their arms and legs have already been cut off, but this is an important part of the devolution and the dismantling of the deep state. So it has to happen very soon. And a couple of months ago, maybe even last year, I reported on this, that I had a rumor and I had it on good authority that the bar exam would go back to common law in 2026. So when this is going to happen, I don't know, but the reveal of all of this, but I think it'll happen this year. So for many of us, we've studied, sovereignty. We've even become sovereigns ourselves, which means you have to correct your status, which means you have to revert back to either being a state national if you're in the US, or you emancipate if you're in South Africa, for example. There's different terminology, but it's basically the same thing. You basically emancipate yourself from the corporation and you go back to common law, and you go back to being and knowing and acting as a natural woman or man of the land, of the living land, and not being an artificial person, because that's what we've all been duped into, shall we say. So your all caps name is your straw man, and that's your artificial person. That's not actually you, but you think it's you. So you turn up at the court and you do whatever they say, because the government cannot deal or interact with living beings. They can only interact with dead entities. That's why they make you into a dead entity, or they create a double of you in a dead entity, and then fool you into thinking that you are that entity and that you should abide by their laws. And you don't have to, because once you claim back your natural status as a living man or woman, you're out of their jurisdiction. Like, you're in common law jurisdiction. You're not in maritime law, or also known as admiralty law jurisdiction at all. So yeah, many of us have been through the process, learned what there is to learn about all of this. How do you emancipate yourself? How do you correct your statements? Deregistering as a voter and all of that. But for the rest of the normies, this is going to at some point be forced upon them and revealed to them, so that they too know what's really going on. And too many of them have said we're talking nonsense over the last few years, but we'll finally realize we were not talking nonsense. Even lawyers and advocates that I've been speaking to has been telling me I talk nonsense. I'll wait for that day, that penny to drop. Anyway, I digress. So, so the fact that he did not put his hand on the Bible during the inauguration was a con. Like, we know that was just a show. We know that was an actor, but this is a very clear con. And some people reckon he was already inaugurated as the 19th president of the original organic republic. However, that didn't quite sit so well with me, because you can't just put a president in place without a proper procedure and system, whatever that is, if it's also an election or whatever it is. You can't just do that without the people's knowledge or consent, right? So I don't think that has happened yet, but I do think that could happen sometime in March. Why? Because that was the date originally where presidents were sworn in under the Republic. It used to be in March. They changed that to January, when the fraudulent corporation took over and pretended that they were the actual lawful government. But the original date was March. And could it have been because that was the real start of the new year back then? That's the astrological new year. I don't know, but there are a couple of dots that are connecting. So I think something is going to happen, and there's going to be a period of chaos. And perhaps by March, people will beg for Trump to come and save the day and be inaugurated as the original the 19th president of the original republic. So let's see. These are all just speculations. But, technically, they don't need, it's not a legal requirement for him to put his hand on the Bible, firstly. But we know he's been very pro-Christian, all of that. So it's kind of strange that he wouldn't do it. So it was just a com, in my opinion, so people can start unpacking those and researching, going down the rabbit hole. And that's exactly what's happening. So at some point, it has to be revealed that the dissolved corporation doesn't have any standing anymore, right? Because it's just like a pantomime, house of cards that have no substance or weight. And remember, today, the 21st of January, is also a significant day because Janet Yellen announced last week that that was kind of the deadline for the outstanding debt for the US was not sustainable, and that it would not be able to go beyond today, Tuesday, the 21st of January. So is this when things start hitting the fan, so to speak? I don't know, but it could well be. So maybe we will see, a very severe financial event happening. We always thought there would be a black swan of sorts, although it started looking like that plan might not be in place anymore. The plan where all the banks were going to fail and the stock market were going to crash and all of that. For years, we've been waiting for that. And then we thought maybe that's not how this is going to go down anymore. But how are they going to fold that financial system? Because it has to happen. That illusionary debt system has to come down. It's one of the biggest things that are going to shift everything. Now that Mr. T is in place, now that he's signed 200 executive orders, he's not wasting any time. They're starting to deport people. So many things. They, as of today or yesterday even, removed fluoride from the water in the US and like a bunch of stuff, which we can maybe read through, but I think you are familiar with most of them. So yeah. So a lot of people had some, you know, theories as to the whole Bible thing, but that's my theory anyway. But yeah, Melania looked exactly like Space Force. Dark blue navy with a white V, as is the monogram for Space Force. What else? Of course, J.D. Vance was there. He did put his hand on the Bible. Again, people noticed that he's way too tall. His bio on, was it Wikipedia or whatever, read at first, well, all these years that he was 5.7. And then suddenly it changed and said, oh no, that's a mistake from whatever other website. He's actually 6.1. And who's 6.2, which is very close? No one other than JFK Jr., who's been rumored to come out behind the shadows for a while now. So people are wondering, is that JFK Jr. wearing a mask? It could very well be. He's always liked acting and, wearing masks even before the so-called plane crash. So when will that, be revealed? Will he be the real VP? Maybe J.D. Vance's role was very limited. We know it's not the original one anyway, but he served a very good purpose. So we shall see. We shall see, and time will tell for sure. I think what people are celebrating most about this inauguration is the executive order that Mr. T signed, designating that cartels are now listed as terrorist organizations. So this means the way that they handle these cartels are very different. This gives the special forces the ability to go in and take them out, because they are the ones responsible for all the child and then the thing that goes with that, which is trafficking. So this is one of the first executive orders he put in place, and I believe when that penny drops for people, that's going to be what unites people, the children. We speak about it so often, but really they're going to be the one that unites people. People will not be able to believe what they see, and it will have to come through in a series of disclosures, very carefully and strategically planned disclosures. But it's going to happen. Believe me, it's going to happen. What else? Let me see. Of course, the wokies have already freaked out, the weirdos, because now there's only two genders, right? No more pronouns, no more other genders allowed, no more coercing kids into transitioning when they're not ready to make such a decision. And the wokies are freaking mentally stable. So that's what the world did to them, unfortunately. And it's going to hit them hard. It's going to take a while for these people to recover. What the world have done to them is an injustice. But it's still kind of humorous to see, especially that one guy. And I'm pretty sure that's not a serious, truthful kind of that. I'm sure that's like parody or something. Because this is old, very, masculine kind of guy with very pronounced red lips and then eyeliner that's like the centimeter below his eyes and these weird eyebrows. And of course, he's freaking out that this man is in power as so many others. And if it wasn't so sad, it would be hilarious to watch. Anyway, and of course, yesterday was also National Popcorn Day in the US. And General Flynn posted about the Great Awakening and the song We're Not Gonna Take It. Catherine Herridge posted, stay tuned, with a picture in front of Camp Justice in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. And then you've got to ask yourself why this whole YMCA song, and maybe some of you know already, but there was a YMCA where Gitmo is standing today. That was a YMCA. And so that song apparently is to be trolling the deep state so that they kind of know that they have a one-way ticket booked to Gitmo very soon. And I kind of agree. It's another con. But it's also a really fun song to watch and to see Mr. T dance to, and to see the whole world doing these little dances on TikTok. And of course, Mr. T saved TikTok at the last minute as well. I think it was out for how long? Was it 130 minutes or something with a 17? Was TikTok down in the US and then it came back online thanks to Mr. T that gave them 3 months or 90 days extension. And that was a pretty good PR exercise amongst the youngsters for Mr. T, because we know how many youngsters are absolutely addicted to TikTok. So this was a good strategy, because how do you unbrainwash the masses? It's not an easy task. And we know that TikTok has become a great tool for disclosure, but for the large part, there's a lot of like libs on there and crazy lefties that are doing their little dance moves. And so that's a really good PR exercise. So those people can start realizing that he's not the tyrant that most people make him out to be. In fact, he even saved their little TikTok platform. And of course, all the comms around that as well, because apparently there are 170 million users in the US. Letter 17 is coming up. And there was a few other things as well with 17 around that announcement. So, yeah, who knows? And then, of course, he's already renamed the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. Some people have been freaking out because they're saying there's motherships above the Gulf of Mexico. That's not what a mothership looks like. I've seen the photos, I've seen the videos. Those are not motherships, but they are definitely interesting, unidentified vehicles. And it's all part of disclosure. It's all part of preparing the normies for what's to follow next. But it's not a mothership. And I don't think the motherships will reveal themselves. They are huge. And sometimes they, right above us, when you see clouds that are looking a bit suspicious, more than likely there's a mothership above you or clouds above mountains. They love to sit, just over the mountain because there's a lot of activities in these mountains, so they can go in and out without being noticed. So that happens a lot. We've had that in Cape Town, South Africa, quite a lot. Cloud blankets hanging over Table Mountain when there's no other clouds in the sky. It was just a big cloud hanging like a blanket over Table Mountain. And of course, lots of things had to be cleared out of this mountain because you can imagine how many tunnels and what these operations were like in this mountain. A lot of that had to be cleaned out. But I believe that's been done, and I hope it is complete, although some people don't think so. I'd like to think that it's pretty much cleaned up. There has been of Pleiadian motherships hanging over Table Mountain. So anyway, all of this disclosure will be coming this year. It's going to be dripping, dripping, dripping. It's going to slowly come out. I believe Stephen Greer, a lot of people don't trust him. They think he's some sort of agent. But I truly believe that he has been chosen by the White Hats to reveal a lot of things related to UFOs and extraterrestrials because he's a doctor, he's got a lot of credibility, he's been in this for a long time, he sounds very legit and trustworthy, and that's kind of what they need as a spokesperson for this level of disclosure. And I think he's got a certain task at hand as to how he needs to communicate, when he needs to communicate. It's a process, unfortunately, because you can't just dump it on the masses all at once because they will all freak out, as you know. So, but we definitely will see some disclosure in that regard this year, and it will just continue. It will just get more and more, and it's not ending anytime soon. That's for sure. But we've got to be a little patient because for us we just want to see everything at once, but it won't work to dump all of that on the planet all at once. You've got to do it. People learn or evolve better when they have these like small things dropped on them, like a little bit. They can digest it and they can reflect on it, they can think about it, and then the next nugget comes, and that's how humans learn or evolve best. Some of us can take a lot more information than others. That's why we were part of that first group that had to wake up and prepare the masses, behind us. It takes a very strong constitution to be able to sit through all that disclosure and not flinch. As you know, the disclosure about the little ones, that had a lot of us awake for weeks on end when we were just so shocked and traumatized with what we saw. But it's like we couldn't switch it off. We had to keep going because we knew it was real, and we couldn't do that to the children just to say it's uncomfortable, it can't be true, I'm just going to switch it off. Many of us could not do that, and we had to go down the deepest rabbit hole until we were right at the bottom, and it was dirty and it was dark and it was evil and it was awful, but we had to do it. But because of our strong constitution, we could handle it and come back triumphant. Because at first, this awakening journey has you, it's like you go through that dark night of the soul. It's not easy. It's really not easy at times, but we have the strength and the endurance to keep going and to evolve as we go along. And that's why I firmly believe this process has taken 4 or 5 years, to unfold itself. And many of us ask, but when is all this going to go down? It's taking too long, and we lose focus, we lose, interest, and we lose faith. And it had to take this long. There was a reason. And our evolution had to come to a certain point where we would be able to lead those behind us. We had to put our egos aside as well. We had to do the spiritual evolution and awakening as well, not just the waking up to the atrocities and lies we've been told, but also the spiritual aspect, the fact that we are powerful creator beings that have been placed on this earth for a reason, and we are one of the royal races of this galaxy and beyond. We are the biggest and most incredible experiment in this galaxy. With all this DNA mixed within us, we are the answer they've been waiting for, to unite all of these different races because we have all of those races within us. So maybe we are the ultimate race to bring peace to the entire universe. Anyway, that's how I look at it. What else, guys? I mean, there's been so many comms everywhere, and I think people almost overanalyzed a lot of things, and looking at the Q drops, and sometimes you just got to allow the space for integration and surrender to what happens in the moment without just overanalyzing everything too much, because then you're missing what's really happening. Now, sorry, the one thing that I was meant to tell you guys right in the beginning, but then I got distracted. So the other reason why it's pretty much proof that we are going back to soon is when Mike Johnson was announced as the next Speaker of the House. Many people didn't notice, but I can't remember who was announcing it, but he was saying that Mike Johnson is the 45th Speaker of the House. No, he can't be the 45th Speaker of the corporation. That should be somewhere in the 60s. I think Pelosi was the 62nd Speaker of the House. So how can he be the 45th Speaker? Wow. When you go back to the original Republic, the 44th Speaker was in 1875. That was the last Speaker of the Republic before the corporation took over and masqueraded as the government. So the fact that he's the 45th Speaker of the House means that he's the 45th Speaker of the Organic Republic. More proof of the restoration of the Republic in the US. So yeah, it's all there for everyone to see. But some people just don't want to hear it, and they deny it, and they think it's nonsense. Well, they're going to get a rude awakening very soon. So, there's all the proof you need. So let's see when all this will come out. But I, for one, cannot wait. What else is happening? I mean, just astrologically, there's more things that are very interesting. January 20th and 21st are significant as well, as Pluto will be conjunct the Sun in Aquarius for the first time in our lives. It's a significant time for something deep within yourself as well to be revealed to you. And then obviously we had the inauguration on the 20th, and today is the 21st. So this is supposed to bring profound transformation to the future of the US. Pluto is all about transformation. Aquarius is about society, and the Sun switches the light on. Aquarius is the new age, the age of the future, the age of enlightenment, the age of space-faring activity, of the intellect, of new technologies, the age of communities, the age of freedom. So we have a powerful conjunction and potent astrology the whole year. All of the outer planets will be changing signs. It's very rare and unheard of, and supposed to change all of our lives, not only that of our countries and world. The lunar nodes already shifted on January 11th. So this month we are already feeling significant shifts in our lives, and I think everyone can attest to that. Things feel different, and not only that, but things are moving very fast. And there's much more to come. Mars is still in retrograde until February 23rd. Then 1 week later, Venus will enter a retrograde motion. All of us are being greatly activated in our lives in different and unique ways, depending on our individual soul blueprints or birth charts. Neptune moves into Aries after being in Pisces for 13 years. Uranus moves into Gemini after being in Taurus for 7 years. Saturn dips into Aries after spending years in Pisces, and Jupiter will move into Cancer. Pluto will be starting to ingress through Aquarius after moving here recently after 15 years of Capricorn. This is some major astrology. Truly life-changing shifts are on the cards. incredibly rare to have so many significant and influential outer planets all changing signs in one single year. Old karmic contracts are clearing and new karmic contracts begin. That's from a lady called She Sees the Stars, shared to me by Taryn Ings. So 2025, I was not kidding when I said this is the year that everything changes. It really, really is. So, yeah, don't miss this moment and don't miss the opportunity to upgrade yourself in the process. You know, be good to yourself, love yourself, and support your own evolution, support the health of your avatar, because ascension happens through the body and not to the body or not escaping the body. None of that. We are engineering it through the body. So those physical changes need to happen as well. And I'm sure many of you have noticed a lot of changes in your physical body, never mind all the ascension symptoms we've been going through, but also physical changes like changes of diet. I know I don't have the taste for certain things anymore like I used to. I've just been drawn to a lot more fruit and vegetables, fresh fruit and vegetables. That's what my body is craving. The only meat I'm eating now is chicken. And of course, protein is eggs, but I'm finding myself needing or wanting it less and less. So it's interesting. And also, I don't want to eat as much anymore. I get full very quickly, and I eat one, maybe 2 meals a day, and that's more than enough for me. So things have definitely changed. And just to go back to, the changes that Mr. T will bring in, the IRS, is it the chairman or the CEO, I forgot, of the IRS just resigned like yesterday. And Mr. T has been speaking about establishing the external revenue service and taxing other countries, which just makes logical sense. I mean, all of these executive orders and things that he's doing makes so much sense. Like, why didn't nobody think about that before? It's convenient for them not to think about those things. They're well aware these things can help the US and the American people. There's a reason why they have avoided them, right? And I just believe this is the beginning of the end for the IRS, finally, in a very public way. And we know the IRS has already been brought in under the Federal Reserve. I mean, the Treasury. Actually, the Fed has been brought into the Treasury. So the Fed is going to go away. The IRS, their task is going to, or their scope is going to be minimized, because we know that when JASARA and SARA is implemented, there will the only thing that'll be left is a 15% sales tax on new items and not on essentials. And that's really what it should be. And then external, tax on other countries. Why tax the American people? And allow these big companies to import cheap things from China, selling it at a huge profit, while taxing the American people for it as well. That's crazy. So there's been a lot of panic in Congress already, and there's been a pause put on any new appointments within any federal agency except for the military. So it sounds Master Chi is very serious about beefing up the military, first of all. Second of all, if anyone who has lost their position due to being forced to get this thing is going to be reinstated and get full back pay. What does that say to you? That's also opening a can of worms. So that's the only department that will get where there's any funding being pushed in now. And he's going to build the military back up, bring it back to its essentials, which is to defend the country, not to have woke ideologies. That's great news, and that's sending a signal to everyone else that not to mess with them because they mean business. The military is beefing up what it stands for, and just the government website. If you look at the official government website, it changed yesterday. And it says America is back, and it had all these very patriotic, very serious American symbolism and videos on there. And the official video on there has a very military flavor to it. And I believe that's because the military is still in charge. For the moment, the military is still in charge. So, in order to achieve worldwide peace, there's got to be strength shown first to say, we don't mess around. We're going to negotiate world peace. And Mr. T has already started with that. And I believe we'll see a very quick and swift end to the wars in Ukraine, in the Middle East. All of those things are going to come to a halt very quickly. Watch the space. The money laundering machine in that respect will come to a very screeching halt, a very quick screeching halt. And even, about the military occupation, even Trump's deputy chief of staff, Stephen Miller, was on Hannity the other night and said the occupation ends and Liberation Day begins. So there's been so many comms being dropped on us. Also, Biden supposedly was still in charge. He did away with a certain executive order, or at least part of it, which was meant to allow for the continuity of government to take place. It was signed in place just before he took office, and he never got rid of it until now, until Trump took office. So it's all there for everyone to see. It's so clear. And it's glorious. I will not lie to you. It is glorious. So, yeah, as I said, we have to see something happen to the global financial system. I'm looking at a chart here from a few days ago, where the global debt is shown to have increased by 21% since 2020 following the pandemic. And what else does it say? So most of the debt is actually contrived. Money should only be issued via government, personal, bank for value created so that the money system itself represents actual valuable goods or services. The accounting aspect of money as it currently stands is very badly understood and will be defended by accountants and actuaries and all the most clever financial people, but they too have been indoctrinated and brainwashed. So the accounting aspect of money should never be inflated for speculative reasons. That means investment banking, hedge funds, derivative schemes, and fractional reserve banking. It dilutes the money supply and devalues the currency and weaponizes the economy itself against the laborer for the benefit of the owner. Okay. The global reset is actually needed, but not the great reset nonsense of the globalists. We need a jubilee to abolish all the bogus debt that has been created over the decades, for which there are thousands of trillions on the books that needs to be wiped clean. So I think that's going to happen pretty soon. All these trillions are going to be wiped away because they don't actually exist in the first place. They're just numbers on a screen. Okay. When the citizenry, as they call it, who often only has labor to exchange for currency, meaning a wage, discovers how much the manager class has been abusing the creation of money and rigging the system against them, a revolution will take place. But this should not be the communist nonsense of socialism, but a restoration of good faith, interest, capitalize, the real spirit of libertarianism that has been hijacked in recent decades. So yeah, lots of changes on the cards and not a moment too soon. And then also, just a few days ago, Mali has seized $245 million in gold from a Canadian mining company over unpaid taxes. And all these African countries that have been raped, pillaged, and stripped from their wealth over many, many decades will come to an end as well. So, yeah. Um, what else? So there was another post that reckoned that there was indeed a plot by the deep state to attack Trump's inauguration. And I know there was a lot of rumors around that. So they planned to unleash chaos on, yesterday on inauguration day, but it was exposed and leaked intel revealed a coordinated assault on Mr. T's inauguration involving explosives, bioweapons, and infiltrators aimed at framing patriots and recruiting J6 chaos once again. This isn't just an attack on Mr. T, it's a direct assault on the American people. Operation Midnight Sabotage, the deep state's darkest plan. White hats have uncovered chilling details of the deep state's Operation Midnight Sabotage, a blueprint for chaos. The plan included false flag attacks, sniper deployments, and advanced EMP devices to disrupt communications. Explosives were smuggled into critical areas, and infiltrators within the pro-Trump groups are poised to incite violence, framing patriot as domestic terrorists. So perhaps all of that was prevented. Maybe that's why everyone was quite serious and somewhat bewildered, shall I say, during the inauguration process. So I believe that there was definitely a plan to set the whole inauguration. That plan was unraveled. And as with so many other plans, over the years. And then lastly, just to mention Mr. T's announcement from a couple of days ago, he had announced John Voight, Mel Gibson, and Sylvester Stallone to be special ambassadors to a great but very troubled place, Hollywood, California. They will serve as special envoys to me for the purpose of bringing Hollywood, which has lost much business over the last 4 years to foreign countries, back bigger, better, and stronger than ever before. These three very, very talented people will be my eyes and ears, and I'll get done what they suggest. It will again be like the United States of America itself, the golden age of Hollywood. So what does that say? And then some people were saying all three of these people were connected to some sort of, nefarious activities and charges many years ago. But perhaps we need to get out of the mindset of somebody's either good or bad, and that can never change, because it can change. Maybe they were involved in some activities and realized that they could at some point no longer be part of it and then pulled out, like Mel Gibson. It's no secret that he has sacrificed much of his career for his own convictions, and that he was vehemently against all the nefarious activities happening in Hollywood, including the trafficking. So perhaps these three people indeed were one of those, three people that decided to turn their back on that Hollywood. And if you look at them, they haven't really gotten any great roles for many years. So it is very possible. So yeah, perhaps they will be leading the disclosure element of Hollywood and everything that has been happening there. I believe that is very much possible. So, yep. So yeah, guys, things are about to get very interesting. It's going to get very, very interesting. So hold on to your hats. It's not going to be a peaceful, boring year, that's for sure. But all of us are excited. I mean, this is the year we've all been waiting for. This is probably the biggest moment in history. I've said this before, but what an exciting time to be alive at this moment, to see the world shifts. So don't be in despair. It's going to be a big year. And also remember, we contribute to the collective reality that we make for ourselves in every single moment. So be careful what you think about. Even if you think about something for 17 seconds, that's interesting, 17 seconds. You start manifesting that as a reality in your sphere. And that's why they love to hijack our creational powers, because it doesn't take much to get us to create a doom and gloom scenario for them. They just have to plant the seeds, put it out there, get enough people focusing on it, and bam, it starts coming into reality. So don't be deceived, don't be misled, keep focus, be disciplined in your thoughts and your actions, and yeah, respect yourself enough. Don't, fill up your cup first before you help anyone else. It's very important for us to stay strong, focused, healthy, and it's going to be a massive year. So I can't say this enough. Anyway, I think that was going to be it for me. I hope you guys are going to have a fabulous week, and I'll keep you updated as much as I can. Don't forget to subscribe to our Telegram page. That is where all the daily stuff goes down. We share so many interesting posts on a daily basis, truth, disclosure, and inspiration. So the link is below. The channel is simply called Vivid Earth, one word. So make sure that you're subscribed there. And of course, make sure that you subscribe here as well. If you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. This is our third channel. We've been wiped out twice and 3 times on TikTok. And I just got another strike on TikTok the other day, which is so weird because I didn't even say anything that was risky. And that video today lives on YouTube, surprisingly, and on Instagram. Like, what is that about? Anyway, so make sure that you subscribe on YouTube. And if you're watching this on Rumble, please subscribe. And either way, subscribe to the, other respective channel as well. Important that everyone is subscribed on Rumble, because that is my backup channel. So you can always pause the video, go in the description of the video below, and you'll see the link, and you can quickly subscribe and get back here. Anyway, that's kind of it for me. Don't forget, if you're on Cape Town and it resonates with you, please join us on the 1st of February in Hout Bay, where we will be having our next New Earth Collective gathering in person. We'll have a psychic and an astrologer there to help us map out the year ahead, what we need to know and what we can do to get through it smoothly, and, us individually as well. So that's going to be fun. And then what else can I tell you guys about? Oh, on my website, make sure that you're subscribed to the newsletters. I promise not to spam you. You just go, the link is below, but it's just vividearth.org, and you just hover over the page, and the box will pop up, and you just subscribe with your email address, and that way I can keep you posted on things. And then, of course, don't forget about our weekly Zoom calls on a Sunday. It's at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. South African Standard Time. And we are just coming together as a community to learn about how we can better evolve and move ourselves from a 3D reality into a 5D consciousness, the new earth. And it's a beautiful community from all around the world. I'm talking too much now. But it's small and intimate enough so that you can ask questions and participate without feeling like it's 100 people on the screen, So that's very nice. So just go to the website homepage, scroll down, and you'll see the membership option. It's only $8.88 a month. It's basically just paying for the web design costs. But if you can't afford it, just pop me an email at live@vividearth.org, and I will make a plan to gift you a membership. Or I normally post the link on a Sunday as well on the Telegram channel. So you can just check that out. And then we do have a private chat group as well if you are a member on Telegram, so that we share things related to what we discuss in our Sunday Zooms. So that's it for me. I've been talking way too much. So I hope you guys will have a fabulous week ahead. Remember those astrological alignments. It's going to be a big one. So just make the most of it. Meditate, and let's have positive thoughts. I'm sending you all much love, and I'll speak to you soon.